Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us. Welcome to the walkthrough of the Aladtec scheduling software here for the healthcare industry. My name is Dave Snyder. I am a support specialist here with Aladtec, and we're going to be taking you through our system today. I'm going to give you a quick overview of Aladtec and walk you through the system. It's going to take about 45 minutes, and we'll leave room for questions at the end. So if you have questions, feel free to post them in the GoToWebinar control panel there, and I'll pick those up and go through them at the end and answer any questions that you might have. And we'll do that at the end, and then review them again at the end. And if you wish to proceed with looking at the Aladtec system, you can sign up for a free demo at any point. And of course, we can even set up a custom demo for your particular service with your own information. And we'll answer those questions as we go along. But first, let's take you through Aladtec as a whole, as our company here, and just tell you a little bit about it. We are a uh, we are a cloud-based schedule and workforce management software platform here. Our system is designed to handle all the unique staffing habits of hospitals, long-term care facilities, and satellite clinics. We're based right here in River Falls, Wisconsin. We're about 30 minutes east of Minneapolis and St. Paul, and you see a nice drone shot of our building there. We started back in 2002 as a web-based scheduling system for a local ambulance service, and since then we've grown to host more than 2,100 organizations with over 135,000 users across the United States and Canada. Our healthcare customers range from everything from small rural hospitals to who schedule everyone from ER staff to housekeeping. And we also include larger regional providers with hospitals and satellite clinics. We do everything in-house. Here's some of our staff here. We do everything from engineering to configuration to sales and support. So we're constantly in communication with everybody here. We do everything in-house. When you call, you're going to speak to one of us. We'll always speak with a real person right here in Wisconsin. We have a team here ready to pick up the phone. There's not a voice or a call tree or anything like that. You pick it up and we can answer anything that you need to. You can access Aladtec from anywhere. It's cloud-based. You can get it anytime, 24/7. You can get it online via your desktop, your tablet, your smartphone, anything that's connected to the internet. It updates instantly. It's always live and current, so users will always have that current version of your schedules and other content as well. There's no extra costs. We provide all setup, all training, unlimited free telephone support as long as you're our customer. And here's a nice look at our support staff there. As you'll see with Aladtec, you're going to be able to create multiple schedules as unique as your needs and departments. It's very customizable. Any patterns that you have for rotations, as long as you can describe a pattern and it repeats, we can help you replicate it right into the schedule at any point. We'll show examples of that as we give you our system overview here and show you some of the benefits here and help you determine whether our system is a good fit for your organization. And if you want to proceed, we'll be able to set up that custom demo that I mentioned. So let's move over to our custom demo system here. This is a healthcare demo that we have, an example for our system. This is exactly what you would see or something similar when you sign up for a demo through our website. And we're going to show you some of the main functionality through here. You'll see a lot of activity right here on the home page here. We do have some server updates coming in there, so that's why that banner is there. So as a basic overview here, we'll be showing you along the menu bar along the top all the different sections and availability of what you have available to you to customize your own system and manage your members and your workforce. Of course, we'll be talking about schedules and how that looks, and editing and getting people on and moving people around. There's a time clock functionality that we'll be looking at here, so you can track your members punching in and out. There's forms that we'll be looking at. That's an online digitized version of anything that you have on paper. You can basically customize and build any type of form that you may have, anything from checklists to order forms to timesheets and things like that. We'll be showing you examples of that. And of course, anything from these previous tabs will filter down into reporting. So you'll be able to generate and customize your own payroll reports, summary reports, time clock reports, reports of the data from all your forms that have been captured. And everything is stored in the system forever here. There's nothing that ever goes away or archived off, or it stays within the system. There's never a storage issue, and we even have a storage functionality here that you'll be able to utilize as well as kind of your own storage drive online, if you will, as part of your system, or you can share documents there. There's an online forum here for discussions, and of course an elaborate help section that I'll be showing you as well. When we set you up on your system here, you have full administrative control over the system. Basically, you have the power to change 99.5% of what goes on in here. I'll show you kind of some of the background examples of that. There's a setup area here that you'll find where it gives the top administrators, that we call them, the ability to adjust all the different settings and definitions and what you need and customizations for your own service. So we'll see that there. But let's just start with the home page here. As you can see, the home page can be customized to whatever you need it to be, and we just have some generic examples here and instructions. And you'll see along the way here, if you set up a demo for yourself, there's some nice short 2-minute videos here that you can look at that describe some more of the benefits of what you're getting here within Aladtec. And I'll be going through that. And then of course, there's your free support for training upgrades. We can give you a guided tour. You can email us anytime, and you can find all sorts of documentation and videos as well. The home page is completely customizable, so you'll be able to adjust your home page to make it look like whatever you wish as well. You'll notice the dashboard here on the right here. This is just a nice little preview of what's going on in the system for yourself, and we'll talk about the different options on how to process change requests. If you have a member logging in, they'll be able to see a quick look at their upcoming shifts. We'll talk about certifications and maybe some dates that are due to expire and things that need to be updated, events that may be going on the calendar that you can set up, trades and discussion activity. Let's just, you're here to learn about scheduling, I'm sure, right out of the gate. So let's just jump into that. And everything kind of populates through these tabs, as I mentioned here. We try to make the system very user intuitive. So as you're navigating around the system, please feel free to click on things and see what options you get and what it can do. And if we hover over these tabs now, we can see the different options of what kind of scheduling we can see. We can see the main schedule views. We can go into a personal schedule. We can go and look at some things like availability and trade. And then I'll be showing you some edit functions here where you can change the schedule as an admin. Day to day, through rotations, if you need to get items off the system, and processing requests. We are in the system as a full admin here, so we are going to see all the options available to you. If a member was logged in, they'd be able to only see what is necessary, and that's of course one of the things that you can do within the system, is that for your whole staff, you'll be able to designate who exactly has the authority to do what in the system. What can they see? What can they edit? And you'll be able to separate that out per group, and there are different rules that follow for different groups that you'll be able to set as well. Let's go right into the schedule and just kind of take a look at the schedule views themselves. A lot of data going on here, lots of activity of what you might see if you've never seen this before, but it will begin to make sense as we look at some of the details here. We're looking at a range of time here, what we call a weekly shifts view. So we're looking at 1 week's worth of staff and locations and times of where people are working. So you can see we have an ER staff, and it's broken out into 3 different shifts throughout the day, starting at 7. We have an ICU staff that has some RNs on there that's split into 12-hour shifts and so forth there. And you can see day by day where people are working under what role. Now these of course are places and positions that you'll be able to customize to your own needs. These labels can be whatever you need them to be and however many that you might need. So in this case, we have 1 triage every day and 2 RNs, and then sometimes we have an RN orientee, as you can see Harry here coming up on Friday. We can see some other indicators here, and things like the little R next to people's names. That's just indicating that they're on those shifts via a repeat and rotation, meaning that they're on a regular rotating shift of some kind. You can click on these to see those types of details as well, and those will be set under that schedules tab, as we showed you here, as an admin to set people on their rotations. If you don't see the notation there, that just means they were plugged in for that day for whatever reason, and I'll show you how to do that. Other indicators you might see here are things like arrows here for trades. Your members, of course, are able to have the ability to trade shifts, either give them away or swap days as needed. You'll be able to set those rules as necessary. You'll see things like stop signs here with exclamation points. So that's indicating something you can set up for your system as well to track and monitor minimum staffing requirements. If you need to make sure that you have enough people on staff for the day and other certifications or requirements that are necessary for those members, you'll be able to set those, and then you'll get a visual indicator such as this if you're ever violating those minimum staffing, and maybe that prompts you to make some adjustments as necessary. Another indicator here is a little blue envelope that's a find coverage alert. So the system knows that on particular days we have an open shift. So you could see these purple open shifts here indicating that you do not have that particular position filled, and it's open and available. So either your members would be logging in and signing up for those open shifts, or maybe you need to let them know that it is open and you want to get those people in there. You want to make sure that you're getting it covered here. So there is a find coverage alert, and I'll show you that in more detail here in just a little bit. Just other indicators of what's on the system. If we scroll down, each day has, of course, different transactions that may be going on for the day. We have things like extra hours. This is a request if anybody say works overtime on a particular day and they need to let you know about it. They'd be able to submit what we call an extra hours request and get that approved or denied to get some hours over and above their regular shift. Pending signups, we can see coming up here on Friday and Saturday, we have a couple of people signing up for shifts. Those are in purple, and it shows the little A there indicating that it's on the admin now to approve or deny that particular request, to let them know. So we can see that Jeffrey's trying to sign up for the ERRN spot, and there's some indicators here of the tracking of the different steps along the way of how that occurred. And now it's up to us as an admin to review these details and then maybe go ahead and approve or deny that particular sign up that would put them right on the schedule, right where they were requesting to be. You can add notes back and forth to that effect as well. So these are the part of the admin roles that you'll be using. Trades that are all along the way, you see some of these indicators do not have the A on them, meaning they are already been approved. So these off green indicators are trades. Joy is working for Alex there, and that's indicated up here with those little arrows. Giveaway saying that Joy was just taking a shift for Alex. And in this case, Jim is working for me, in this case, trading a swap for a different day. Time off, of course, members can submit time off for various reasons, whatever your reasons happen to be, you control that list. So we can see along the way the different people that have vacation or sick leave if they called in sick and so forth. Here's Nicholas asking for vacation time for tomorrow, and again, it's pending your admin approval. So you'll be able to track who has time off, who gets credit for that time, and how many hours of that time they get credit for, and you'll be able to track all that information as well. Events may be on the schedule. Let's see if there's maybe an event in the future here. Yes. So events you'll be able to indicate on the calendar as well. If there's, say like a training session coming up or an event of some kind where you have a monthly meeting or a weekly meeting or a particular event that you need to staff for, you can certainly set up an event and all the details can be included in there as well. to indicate that it's happening on that day and time. There's different ways to look at the schedule. So we're seeing this in a weekly shifts view here for the current week, and that's great. And what we're seeing up here in the upper right are more of the details in terms of what it is exactly we are looking at. We're looking at the weekly shifts view, but you'll notice these 4 calendar icons here that indicate different ranges of time. We just happen to be looking at the weekly shifts view by default. You can certainly look at it from any perspective that you wish, right down to one day. Let's say if you wanted to say a daily summary view, you'd be able to just see the roster going on for just one particular day. And the date indicator here indicates what date you're looking at, and you can certainly click in that date field and pick a different day to see a different lineup on whatever day you wish. And you can go back and forth one at a time or just pick it from the calendar. And now it just shows a different lineup and a different perspective from a day's point of view. You can go all the way up to your pay period or a range of time that you get to custom choose, or the monthly calendar view if you want to see some things like a calendar on the wall type of thing. This is the monthly calendar view. Now there's a lot more data on this particular screen, a lot more to scroll through and see, but that's okay. You get to, what you get to do in this case is you get to basically control exactly what it is on the screen. There's only so much screen space to show the details, but you can shore it up to make it a little more condensed if you wish by using our filter options here. This is a very common functionality throughout the entire system. This is how you're customizing it for your own purposes. And these filters are unique to the person that's logged in at the time. This is the benefit of that. Everybody works differently, right? And you'll be able to do different tasks for different reasons. And what you're able to do is change what you're looking at on the big screen by filtering it and editing exactly what it is that you want to see. So as the nursing director, I'm going to just click on edit here, and we get a bunch of options here on exactly what we want to see. Everything from what schedules we'd like to see to the details. Do I want to see scheduled time? Do I even want to see those little R's? Do I want to show open shifts? And then all the associated pending and approved requests for the different transactions, events, time off, trades, and so forth. And just for example, we could say maybe turn off everything except the ER schedule and turn off the little R's. And we can even turn off all the additional schedules. And if we decide to do that and apply, then you'll see it comes down to a much more condensed and cleaner version of that monthly calendar. Now, those items, of course, didn't get deleted. They're just hiding in the background. So this might be a view that, say, a director would like to use and take a clean look at the ER schedule, and then you can see these purple items kind of pop out a little easier for you to see and maybe see some openings of what needs to get taken care of. And that's great. And then, of course, you can save that. You can, what the options of what you've chosen here in the checkboxes, you can just go ahead and say, this is my ER staff, and you can save it. And that becomes a custom filter set that you can use whenever you wish, and just flip to it and it will remember all the options that you've chosen. And if I go ahead and turn everything back on and then just add another one called, all, now everything comes back to the way it was and I can just flip back and forth. So let's go back to our default view, this weekly shifts view here, and talk about maybe some changes that might need to be made. So here in the aspect of viewing the schedule, we're not making any changes to the schedule. We're really just looking at it. And again, you can just make the custom views as you wish. But you can edit the schedule as well. These are the viewing options of what you can see in the system, and then these are the editing options of what you can see. So as simple as you just look ahead and see an opening on the schedule, you as an admin say, you know what, I need a person on Friday here for the midday shift, and you can simply click on that opening. And what it'll do is bring you into the edit feature here, the hourly editor. And this is how you're editing the schedule day to day. So we're looking at it from just one day's point of view. We can schedule any day, any hour, any time as we wish. It's a 24-hour period of time that we get to manage as we wish. Those same indicators are in here, so that's a consistent across the board, and we can see who's working over what shift here in blue. We can see the opening that we need to get filled here. And there's a lot of features in here, such as, say, drag and drop. So you can just hover over any of these shifts and make adjustments to them as needed, shorted or longer, or even just pick up Philip and move him where he needs to go, that sort of thing. Or if you just need to, if you know who you're going to add in there, we can just go to the bottom half of the screen here, pick from our roster list of the people that are eligible to be an RN in the ER spot, and we can simply see that there's people that have signed up for it here, and we can just see, well, Michelle doesn't have as many hours here, and we can just click on her and approve that sign up and see Michelle get right into the spot that's open. You'll notice the other sign up went away because the shift is filled, and the system automatically kicks out notifications to that effect to these people, letting them know that their sign up's been approved or canceled because it's already been filled. A lot of detail going on in this screen, looking at minimum staffing and making sure you're up to date there. Calculator options for, a minute reporting for your reference to see, how many hours people have, and there's other details you can use there. Availability, your members can submit what days they're available to work and maybe which ones they're not. So you get a nice workplace here, if you will, and then to be able to manage your system day to day of who's on what staff, on what schedule on any given day. And again, you have your filter options to turn on whatever you need to. If we need to bring in the ICU group as well, you can certainly do that and see that lineup as well. Different ways to manage the system. I showed you just a simple way to just approve a sign up and add somebody to the schedule, but you can certainly add and remove people as needed, as you'll see here. People call in, you can submit time off on their behalf. You can just delete the shift and maybe just take another person from the bottom here, maybe even put in Alex, and you can just add them in there and again adjust as needed. So some simple ways to add and remove people from the schedule, which is your prerogative. Of course, there's the repeat and rotation option. So you could put people on a rotating shift over a pattern so that you're not putting them in one day at a time for up to 2 years ahead of time. You can put them all in one shot. So you have the ability to do that as well. And with these other tools, you can certainly take people off the schedule as needed. You'll notice the block time here. This is indicating that we don't need a student on every day, say, so we're just blocking it out so it's not showing as an open shift. And processing requests along the way. Let's talk a little bit about how these people get in the system. So we've kind of looked at the schedule. People can look at their own schedule and manage their own information through their own screen. And we'll show you that, and availability and trades, and here's how you edit. But how do these people get in the system in the first place? Well, let's take a look at that. Let's back up a minute here and go to the members database here. We can manage our members all through one place here in the member database, and we can store all sorts of options and tracking tools within here to manage your whole workforce. And we can use all sorts of tools here, including sending messages, looking at certifications and things like that. Let's look here at our members. We have a staff of 60 here. We can see all their data all listed here in a nice table. We can highlight any of these items and make some changes if necessary. We can go to Nicholas here, and let's just look at one person's profile here. So I'm going to hover over Nicholas and edit him. The system tracks all sorts of details in turn, including, of course, first and last name, login information and credentials. You can make them a default, and then the member can manage their own password and login information here. We've indicated that their status, if they're a time clock user or not. We get to choose what level of access they have. Work groups here, that's indicating, of course, the rules that they'll be following, and I'll talk a little bit about that here in a minute. What type of employee they are, their messaging options. This is big within the system in terms of tracking. what kind of messages and notifications they wish to get for themselves, and give you the ability as an admin to send messages as you wish using phone numbers with their associated phone provider, if they have AT&T or whatever it happens to be. Emails, you can have multiple emails in here as well and indicate which ones are your primary email. Here's the notification options. You'll be able to choose what type of notifications they get in the system. So Nicholas has the option to say, you know, I want to know when I'm going to get my time off approved or denied right away. So every time a time off request is processed, it would send an email or a text or text to Nicholas as necessary when that happens. You do that for all the different requests here. Other alerts here, find coverage request if we as an admin send out a request to letting people know that there's an opening. Form notifications, our forms have the ability to send out those notifications as well. Maybe even a shift reminder if you have some part-timers and they wish to know when they're working. Get a little ping letting them know that they're working tomorrow 24 hours beforehand. Other things that can be tracked in here are things like work qualifications. This is where we're letting the system know exactly who Nicholas is, where he's allowed to work in terms of the list of our schedules, and what jobs he's able to fulfill. So we can see he's not a cook, he's not an aide, he's not a tech, he's an RN. And he can fulfill any of these roles in our positions in our schedule. And this is a nice tool to help you as an admin place people on the schedule, and you won't have to worry about qualifications or if they're allowed to be there or not, because that's been preset here. Lots of other data you can store for each of your members. Everything from the general information down here is completely customizable by you. Under the members tab, there is a member database configurator, which is just a way to manage what this profile is, what types of fields are there, what sections and what they're called, and you can make it any way you want. It's an unlimited number of fields that you can add and remove, and you can do everything from, emergency contact information. You'll see other contact info here. You can have date fields, list fields, text fields. You make them what you will. And you'll see down here, say for certifications, this is a great tool that you can actually track your members' certifications and when they're due to expire. The system will know when that date is coming around and when it's due to expire. And as you put these dates in here, this date field will be tracked, and you can have that as we've shown on the dashboard, exactly when those dates are due to expire. And if they are expired, and maybe that triggers you as an admin to say, hey, you got to go get this renewed and take a look at that. And then you'll notice here you can even add files directly to the profile if they get an actual, maybe an electronic document of some kind of the certification itself or their license. You can actually take it and add it and attach it right here to their profile and be able to refer to it as you need. So you can be able to customize these options here in your system using what we call a database configurator. Let's take a look at that real quick. It's a very simple functionality here that involves just field types from the left. And it literally is, you can just take any field that you wish and drag and drop it into wherever you need it to go. And then you can move them around as needed as well. So as you need more fields, or if you need to relabel them or move them around, you can certainly do that. And then you go ahead and save, and then that'll be available for all your members. One big feature from the system here is, of course, messaging. You have people's phone number and email, so you have the ability to send them the messages. We mentioned the find coverage alerts. That's due to or targeting this actual shifts on the schedule. But of course, you can send a message right from the member database here directly. It's as simple as just choosing whoever you want to send a message to, or select everybody and then click send message, and then you have the ability to send an email, a text, or both, and you can just populate and fill out whatever it is that you want to say and send it out right through the system. All notifications and messages through the system are a one-way delivery. There's no reply back, there's no inbox in the system, but you'll be able to say whatever you want whenever you need to. There's easy ways to manage it by group. So if you have, say, you wanted to get some groups together and just send it to a particular group, let's just say by title, you could certainly do that, and you can see all our chefs are together here, and you can simply just, click all the chefs that are together and send them a message directly, and you're sending it to that group. You can add members as needed. Again, you have your filter options here. You can print as needed. You can export the data. So these are little icons along the way in reporting and so forth that you're able to manage that information. Again, you get to choose the information that you're looking at using your filters and editing. Let's look a little further down the line here. We look under one more look at schedules now, just showing you that first person calendar, Nicholas, that we're showing the information in terms of his My Info. So when Nicholas is looking at the schedule, like I said, he only has particular access to what he needs to. So from Nicholas's point of view, you'll notice that some of the options have gone. And the only two things that members need to know, this is the best part, is the training for members is as simple as 2 steps. The only thing they really need to follow here is their My Info page to manage their own login information and messaging options and look at their profile. And then under schedules, you'll see some of those options have been removed and they can look right at their own schedule. So when Nicholas is logged in, the only thing he needs to do in terms of managing his own information is go to the My Schedule page. So those are the 2 things, My Info, My Schedule. That's it. And he can see his own information of scheduled time here in blue, vacation, and all the color coding is the same, and you can navigate to whatever days you need to, and he can request shifts here. He can ask for time off, manage his trades, and all these items can be toggled on and off. And if he wants to see open shifts available to him, you'll be able to click on that, and here's where he would go and say, oh, there's a Saturday shift available. I'm not working, maybe I'll pick up some extra hours. So he can simply click on that shift and sign up for it directly right from his own calendar. Let's go back into our admin directory here, nursing director role. Let's move on here down the road here, show you some other options here. I mentioned that member database configurator is similar to what we have for forms. It's all drag and drop and electronic. So here's a great tool that you can use over and above the scheduling, is a management of forms. So like I said, anything that you have on paper can be digitized and used within the system, and it's all centralized within the system, and it can be set up to process a workflow, capture signatures, ping admins, supervisors along the way, and it's all stored within the system and kept within here forever. And so they can access this information from anywhere. They can fill out these forms after they leave work on their phone, walk around the ambulance, do a truck check on an iPad, be at home, fill out a timesheet, whatever it happens to be. You can certainly set up any form with the appropriate fields for them to fill out and go ahead and submit. And you as an admin can go ahead and design those forms maybe from scratch, or you can take a look at some of our sample forms that we have over here as example templates, if you will, things such as timesheets, PO requests. What did I mention? Here's a uniform gear request. Very simple. I need to order a jacket. You can have the people fill out and what size they are and submit. Away they go. And then this would all be set within the system. And again, it's all drag and drop. You can bring over anything you need to from the left here from our options and organize the fields as you wish and make it look like you want to. So you control your own forms. Each form has its own set of permissions. So if you need to set up different forms for different groups of people, you certainly can. And then all your forms, of course, filter down into the system here for reporting purposes. You'll see under the reports tab, the forms then, of course, have their own set of reporting that you'll be able to extract the data as needed and organize it as you wish. Reports themselves are a powerful tool. This is, of course, the end result of everything that gets input in terms of your scheduling for the most part. So here's an example of where you can go to reports and see things such as a scheduled time report, which is what a lot of services use in terms for payroll. And again, it's all following the same functionality here, right? What range of time do you want to see for the information, and what details do you want to see using the filtering here? What we have here is a simple pay period report that just shows me everybody that worked over this range. And you can see person by person here exactly where they worked, what position, if they worked overtime. Sometimes the system calculates overtime for you, and that's a possibility, where people had time off and give them credit for that. So again, your options to edit and filter this custom report for your own needs is certainly possible as well. And you would be able to maybe move it into payroll format, and then of course export the data to a simple text CSV file, which then can be imported into payroll systems or spreadsheet programs such as Excel if you need to maybe apply rates or other templates or other formulas to the information before it moves on to payroll. It works with QuickBooks and all payroll systems. It's a simple CSV file. We work with a lot of customers in terms of the steps along those ways, because everybody has different needs. Other reports that are available here are, say, individual member reports. This is a great tool for your members to kind of get a one-stop shop of everything for themselves. So when Nicholas logs in and wants to see maybe for the month of July all the shifts that he's working, and he knows he's going to get 184 hours for the month, or maybe for the pay period he'll get his 80. And if there was any time off during that time, time clock records, attributes. So it's a great one-stop shop for the person to see everything in one spot for any range of time that they choose, and they can go ahead and print that for later and needed, and organize it as they wish there too. Other reports in here are things such as summary reports, time clock report. So that brings in the subject of time clock entries, of course. So your members have a feature here where they can turn on to use what we call a time clock, where it's literally having your members go to a particular machine designated as what we call kiosks and punch in and out for their shifts, and it will look against the schedule and make sure that they're on time or not based on your grace periods. And you'll be able to manage those time clock records as a separate record from their actual schedule, and maybe use that information to get them paid for payroll purposes or what's necessary. And you can see when you are managing your time clock records, you'll see them side by side here. The system knows when they're expected to be at work, on what day and what times. And then on the right hand side here are their actual time clock records, or what you would normally visualize as a time card in a bin, right, that they would take out and punch. This is the electronic version of that, and you can certainly manage it as an admin and edit anybody's records if they forget to punch out or just forget it completely, and you'll be able to manage all that information here. And then all that filters down into its own time clock report, where you can see those records tabulated together, and you can apply rounding and all those kinds of things there. One great report I like to point out here is a system log. This is a great audit trail of basically everything that's ever happened in the system. So everything, all activity from all members is recorded. So you'll be able to always go back and see in the system exactly what happened and when and who, everything from logging in to making changes or adds or deletions even. So the system will remember all activity and changes. And that's the power you have as an administrator, right? You'll be able to put things back in place if, say, somebody deleted something by mistake, or moved a position somewhere. You'd be able to move it back the other way. You can always undo your own actions, if you will. More items here in the Menu bar here, things such as storage. I mentioned a great place for you to archive some things or make things available, files, documents for your members available here. It's almost unlimited, 200 gigs of storage that you can utilize, kind of like a network drive. You can organize them into folders, and I have a hierarchy there, and have different files available to your members, things such as PDF files or Excel files or policies, procedures, documents, short videos, anything they need to access and reference and read, they can do that from anywhere from within here. You would just, add a file up into this particular storage location, and then your members will be able to access it, click on it, and it would be read only for them, view only, and they'd be able to access that information. So this is a great place to do that, and you can even make certain folders restricted if you want to, say, restrict the information to admin eyes only, employee records, things like that. So you can certainly set up those permissions as well. We have a discussions area here, which works kind of like an online forum that you may have seen. So you can see different topics and categories that can be added here. And if we click on this, we can kind of see a whole post hierarchy here of a timeline of exactly everybody's responses or posts to that subject and topic, and see you can use it as you wish there. I've seen it used many different ways, so posting meeting minutes, or thoughts and ideas, or you can just use it as you will for those discussion strings. We have a great elaborate help section in here too. We have everything from blog entries to a lot of help videos. So here's a great reference that's even over and above the unlimited tech support that you get with our service, but you can certainly look through any of these items on your own. And maybe people like to just kind of take the time and study on their own, and you can use these references here. You certainly can call us. You can contact us or email us anytime. It's an unlimited, like I said, support staff available to you anytime for any questions or thoughts or assistance. And we even have an online chat option here too, which is really cool, that you can just click on this and just start talking to us electronically through the chat window there. We just started that up a month or two ago, and it's been working out really well, where people get just quick questions and don't want to call. You can just use that, and we're monitoring that and be available to you during our support hours here as well. All right, we've looked at a lot of different options within the system here. I'm going to take a look at the questions here and see if we got anything from the members here for participants asking here. Yep, we got a question from Steve. Can you access Aladtec on my phone? Great question. This is available, of course, through any device, including your mobile device. We do have a mobile version of our website available to you, and it is available. It's through the same exact process as you would get through it through a desktop or a machine. There isn't a native mobile app. So if you go to the App Store, you're not going to find it there. Your service would be actually exactly what it is online through your cloud service. So in this case, I have this system as aladtec.com/healthcare webinar. Whatever the name of your services would be there too, and you would just bring up the browser on your mobile device and access that same website. And it's a simple couple of steps in order to add that little icon on your mobile device and see it via the mobile site version, which has most of the functionality available to you that the desktop does as well. And you can even flip back and forth through either the mobile site or the desktop, as you can see here. I can actually click on this view mobile site, and we'll just make it a little, we'll view exit full screen, and we'll make it a little more adaptable to what it would look like. I have the iPad background here. I didn't have it set up, but this would be similar to what you would be looking at, say, on an iPhone or an iPad. You would have the smaller version here and be able to see this is the dashboard on the home site of the mobile site. And you see some of the front page highlights here. You would see your own upcoming shifts, available trades, things like that. Actually, I think I can do that as Nicholas to show you a little better detail. So as Nicholas, he would see his upcoming shifts, be able to click on them and even go ahead and request a trade or request time off. And there's other functions within here to see the daily schedule, your own schedule, get into forms, fill out forms, look at their own information and so forth. So yes, the mobile version is available there, and you can see most of the same functionality and information. And a lot of it's configured, of course, to fit on a smaller screen, right? So you can see the different view options, and it's a little more condensed, a little more simplified, but the same color coding is in effect here. You can click on anything that you might need and see what's going on for those particular days. So the mobile version, of course, in today's environment, of course, is very handy. And then there's a way to actually flip back right to the full site here. And now we're back on the same system. Any updates from either side, of course, is live across the board too. So that's the advantage of what you get out of the mobile site as opposed to a mobile app. Any changes that you're making is automatically updated and live, and then you never have to install an app or download it or update it or anything. It just happens because it's all cloud-based and updated across the board. Another question here, can you get shift reminders on your phone? Yes, so of course, as you've set up your own information in your My Info page here, if you want to get those notifications via your phone, such as text and email, you'll be able to set those up and just make sure that you have the right information in your messaging there as well. Let's look at another question. Let's see here. Question of overtime here. How does it track overtime? That's a good one. Very common. Let's go back into our nursing director here. So there's a couple ways to track overtime. There is a way to have the system automatically calculate the overtime for you. If you have a group of people, say, that have everything over 40 hours in a week, say, that's very common, right, for overtime. That's when we're getting into the rules that are set up for your system, and that's all controlled here through the setup. So as a top level admin, I'm going to go into the setup area here. So here's kind of all the behind the scenes settings and activity that you see for your information. Everything from just general information here to levels of access of who can access what, and things like work groups. This is what our rule sets are. So this is going to go towards the overtime question here. We have a group of RNs that follow a particular set of rules. We're saying here what they have the capability to do within the system in terms of the scheduling. Can they submit availability, extra hours? Can they sign up for shifts, time off, and trades? And then down at the bottom here, you'll notice there's an overtime rule. So what this is saying for the group of RNs, anytime they work over 40 hours in 1 week, as we've defined a week that starts on Sunday, they will get overtime. Now that goes towards the scheduled time report that we were looking at earlier, and where we can see that Renee, the system knows that they're an RN, and then they go through their weekly process, and when they hit their 40 hours, they're going to go ahead and roll over to overtime hours, and the system will automatically calculate that. And you'll see it started a brand new week on the second week of the pay period, right? And they just didn't hit the overtime limit on that particular week. The other way to track overtime is basically just labeling any shift, any hour of any day as an overtime shift, and that's what we call time types in the system. You'll see you can have different levels of pay, basically, of different labels of what's necessary, and we can even add one here called overtime. And that way, when you're actually editing the schedule, you'd be able to basically say, change the time type of any particular shift to overtime. So now on the 17th, Alex May, his shift now is labeled as an overtime shift. And on the report, it would actually display as an overtime shift. We go down to Alex now for the right pay for the right time period here. We can see Alex May has a overtime shift. Where is it? I got the right one, right? Alex May on Monday, July 17th. Must be including all of them. There it is. We added a new time type, so I got to make sure to include it in the report. So now that I've included that new overtime category in the report, now it shows as an overtime shift. So that might be something you translate to your payroll to make sure to say, hey, if it's an overtime shift, then you're going to get that overtime pay and apply the appropriate rate. So as you can see here, everything in terms of that applies to rules. So these are the nice rules that you're setting for your members, including that overtime. And if you have different sets of rules for different groups of people, you can certainly do that. This brings up a good question, of course, right above here about work limits. So again, here too, that's a good question that comes up pretty frequently of how do I make sure that they're not going over 40? What if I don't want to pay overtime and I need a warning to say what kind of overtime is there? Well, here's where it's going to check for that. It's going to check and see when this group goes over 40 hours in a week, I want to know about it. It's going to show a warning, or maybe it's going to require admin approval. Let's do that. So now when, say, we were Nicholas before, and he wanted to sign up for this extra shift, and he goes to sign up for it, it's going to go, wait a minute, this is going to get you more than 40 hours. You can't just have that. It's going to require approval. And then you're going to go ahead and click that, and it's going to get sent to the admin for approval of that particular sign up to make sure it's okay that you're going over those 40 hours. So I think that answers the question there from Kayla, I'm hoping. When you're picking up those shifts, if it's going over that certain amount, that's all due to the what we call the work limit rules. And you can check it to make sure they're working maybe not too many hours in a row or hours in a range of some kind, week, day, hour, month. You can even check for breaks between periods. That might be common in the healthcare industry that they have to have say an 8-hour break between shifts. This is going to monitor that as well. Kayla was asking about monitoring attendance. I think that kind of goes more towards looking at the schedule itself. Let's go to be an admin here, the nursing director. I'm not sure if you were there in the beginning there, Kayla, but we do have what we call minimum staffing requirements here that you can set. So if you're dropping below, if you needed to say, I need to make sure I have 3 RNs on staff or 2 in this case. And if I drop below that, I want to make sure that I'm, something's telling me such. In this case, it's looking for, right, we don't have a staff member on the night shift. We're 2 of 3, so we're short 1 here on this particular opening. So that's the indicator on that day, letting you know that you've dropped below your minimum staffing. Those particular requirements are set by your schedules, which is monitored here in your setup area, along with all the other options here. It is 1 set of rules per person. So you could see here, a member couldn't belong to the RN group and the general rules group. So when you're looking at the different rules here, and in terms of work limits, it is 1 set of rules per person. So in this case, it's looking for just the 1 total hours. So I think a question there was looking for overtime for both 8 hours and 80 hours. So you might be able to use a combination of maybe contiguous hours or total hours here, but it's you can't add more total hour checks in this case. But there's ways to manage it otherwise. There are many reporting tools and other ways that an admin can use the reporting tools within the system to monitor those kinds of limits as well. They'll be able to see that, of course, when they're editing the schedule. This calculator is exactly that. It would show you how many hours they got total, and they could even show you how many overtime hours they might have as well. So you can separate out and see how many overtime hours they got going for whatever range it happens to be. Boy, we're flying right along and getting up towards an hour now. So that really covers most of the functionality within the system. I think it gives you a pretty good idea of what we're looking at here. We thank you for joining us here today. And if you want to look at it in more detail and want to maybe even set up a custom demo for yourself, we'd love to do that for you. It's free of charge. And we have system specialists here that would actually just have a discussion with you, learn about you and your system, and learn all your needs. And if possible, we'd be able to get some information from you, like a roster and some schedule information, and set up a custom system demo just for you that you'll be able to play with, again, free of charge. And that system specialist would take you through the whole entire process from implementation, training, and all the building that's necessary for your system, and take you through the whole demo process. So you'll be able to use the system as you would as a live customer, look at all the information, get accustomed to it, and make sure it's a good fit for your service. So we hope that we give you some of those ideas. We hope we got a nice look at it. If you would like to sign up for the demo, in the chat window, right in the GoToWebinar control panel there, we do have a link there that you can sign up for a demo directly, or of course you can go right to aladtec.com and sign up for it there and see some more information about our company, or of course call us anytime, 888-749-5550, or you can email us at info or support@aladtec.com. So you're going to see all sorts of examples of how we can streamline the scheduling, internal communications, tracking certifications, all of those other schedule related tasks. And if you find that it works for you here, we'd love to hear more about it. So thanks for joining us today. We'll have the webinar available to you to show other people. It'll send you a link of the recording, and you'll be able to review it again at a later date. And if you have any questions, you just let us know anytime. Thanks again. Thanks for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your day.